Hello everybody, it's Emery48 here, and welcome back to another video. Today we are going into the March Madness bracket, but we're focusing on the mascots only. How would the mascots fare in a fight? That will determine the winner of March Madness. We start with the first four, and we have Alabama State versus St. Francis, Pennsylvania. And it's a Hornet versus a Friar. And frankly, the Hornet's just going to win, because the Friar's not going to do any fighting. Up next is San Diego State versus North Carolina. That is an Aztec versus a Ram. And the Aztec mascot is already just an Aztec. So there are your two images. But I believe the Aztec would be able to defeat the Ram. This is kind of what they do. They go and fight things. Perfect matchup for an Aztec. Up next we have American University versus Mount St. Mary's. And it is an Eagle versus a Mountaineer. And this one, again, is just very clearly going to the Mountaineer. This is an easy decision, in my opinion. The Eagle just will not match up well against a human that chops down trees. The final first four matchup is between Texas and Xavier. We have a Texas Longhorn versus a Musketeer. Now, this is a tough matchup for the Musketeer. A human that can only shoot one round and then has to pull out a sword really has to be very accurate with a weapon that just is not accurate. So I'm giving this one close, but it's going to the Texas Longhorn. I think that's a great first four matchup because this one could have gone either way. We then dive into the round of 64, and we start with Auburn versus Alabama State, and we have a Tiger versus a Hornet, and I mean this one's easy. The Tiger takes it every day of the week. Up next is Louisville versus Creighton. We have a Cardinal and a Blue Jay. And that's just a weird combo, double bird right off the front. And the big decider here for me is they're both birds. So we got to look back at the actual mascot. And the Louisville mascot looks ready to fight. And that for me is the deciding factor, moving the Cardinal on to the next round. Up next we have Michigan and UC San Diego, which is a Wolverine and a Triton. Now, the picture that I found is from The Little Mermaid, but it's a god of the underwater. And that clearly beats Wolverine very, very easily. And it's our first mythical creature in this bracket. So that is huge. Up next, we have Texas A&M and Yale. And we have an Aggie, which is just a dog, versus a bulldog. And frankly, the Aggie looks like it's beating this Bulldog. This Bulldog looks way too cute. It's the one picked by Yale as well, so I'm not being weird. But that moves Texas A&M forward. Up next is Ole Miss, and the winner of our first four matchup, San Diego State, puts a Shark versus an Aztec. In this one, we've got to go and look at home field advantage for the first time. And Ole Miss, as the 6th seed playing an 11 seed, gets home field advantage. This battle is taking place in the water, giving it to the Shark. Up next is Iowa State versus Lipscomb. And this brings us another Cardinal versus a Bison. And that one is just very easily in the hands of the Bison, or the paws of the Bison. Marquette versus New Mexico. This puts together a Golden Eagle and a Lobo, which are two just very extra ways of saying eagle and wolf, and the wolf is just going to win. Then we have Michigan State versus Bryant, which is a Spartan versus a Bulldog. And that just has to very easily go to a Spartan. We move to the next section of the bracket with Florida versus Norfolk State. This pits a Gator and a Spartan, which is a much more interesting battle for the Spartan. But in my opinion, the Spartan, who is just a hunter, is still going to continue on forward and win that battle. We then have Yukon versus Oklahoma, which pits against each other a Husky and a Sooner, which is just an early Oklahoma resident. And I can't move forward something that lame. So the Huskies beating out the Oklahoma resident at this point. That is a Oklahoma resident as pictured by AI based on BuzzFeed as well. We then move on to Memphis versus Colorado State, which is a Tiger fighting a Ram. And one is a predator and one is prey, and the Tiger is the predator, so that is going to move them forward. Maryland versus Grand Canyon, which is a terrapin, which is basically a turtle, fighting an antelope. And neither of those are particularly dangerous, but one is particularly more useless, and that, to me, is the turtle. Moving forward, the antelope. Missouri versus Drake. Tiger versus Bulldog, which I feel like we've seen already, and that just easily goes to the Tiger. Texas Tech versus UNC Wilmington, and that pits together a dude with pistols already looking in the air and an eagle. He looks so ready to hunt eagles that it's not even funny. / this might be a hawk. I can't really remember. The dude with pistols is winning this one. Kansas versus Arkansas. This puts a Jayhawk versus a Razorback, which is just a weird duo, if we're gonna be realistic here. And the Razorback is winning. The Jayhawk apparently isn't even a real kind of hawk, which is just weird to me, that they would make up a hawk. But the Razorback's winning. As soon as the Jayhawk comes down to try and do anything in a fight, it's losing. And the last matchup on this side of the bracket is St. John's and Omaha. Now, I thought a bull would be a formidable force in this tournament, but a Thunderbird, a mythical flying being that can summon thunder, this is going to make a big run in the tournament and is definitely beating the bull. Or we have the Duke Blue Devils versus the Mount St. Mary's Mountaineers. That is just a terrifying image, so I had to pick that for the Blue Devil, and it is very easily beating a mountain man. Baylor Bears versus Mississippi State Bulldogs. And this kind of thing, similar has happened before. The bear is easily destroying and eating up that bulldog. Oregon Ducks versus Liberty Eagles. Not to mention the fact that a real-life eagle looks like it would completely destroy a real-life duck. The mascot also looks like it's ready to fight, where the Oregon one looks a little bit more ready for a couch day. Arizona Wildcats versus Akron, which has a kangaroo. And I wasn't completely convinced until I saw this picture, this duo. The kangaroo is winning this. I forgot how fierce the kangaroo would be, especially against a tiny little cat. BYU, VCU, Cougar, Ram. The Cougar literally looks like it's about to pounce and kill that Ram. Easy victory for the Cougars. Wisconsin Badgers versus Montana Grizzly Bears. That is a terrifying picture of the grizzly bear, and it is eating up that badger. St. Mary, the Gales versus Vanderbilt, the Commodores. Now, two historical images, one of the Gaelic Wars and the other of Commodores. So I, of course, grabbed something from Pirates of the Caribbean. And I think that this would be a very interesting duel to watch, both wielding a sword. However, I think the Gales are going to win purely because the Commodore might need to rely on his ship too much. And we're not bringing in bonus, stuff to that nature. I don't mind the weaponry, but I'm not giving you a vehicle. Gales pull this one off. Alabama, Crimson Tide, which apparently means elephant, and Robert Morris, which is a colonial. And although I think colonials did successfully kill elephants, the British were doing that. They were doing it with more than one. And we've been going with one and one because it's just the mascot. You don't get a whole army of colonials, because then they would get an army of elephants. I think one elephant beats a colonial. Houston and SIU. They're both Cougars, which makes it a little hard. But we go back to the original mascots, and the SIU mascot looks like it's ready for a street fight. Houston looks like it's ready to be pet. So SIU's moving forward. Gonzaga and Georgia, again, another double bulldog combo. Now this one may be controversial, but we're giving it to Georgia. Bigger jaw. Looks like it could withhold a bit more, and I do like that they have both options in the same picture. I like that. Clemson Tigers versus McNeese Cowboys. Now, they don't get all 7 of the Magnificent 7, but I think a cowboy is the perfect thing to fight a tiger, because he gets the horse, gets a gun, And I think the mobility will help him defeat the tiger. Purdue Boilermakers and the High Point Panthers. Now, I was thinking that Purdue could have been a sneaky human pick, but up against the Panther, I just don't see it working out. Not much in terms of a real weapon. A little bit of armor, but not in the places the Panthers going to attack. I think High Point moves forwards in this one. The Illinois Fighting Illini, which is some kind of bird, versus a Texas Longhorn. And then yet again, we get Texas moving forward with the Longhorn just stampeding the bird anytime it tries to make a move. Now, I didn't see a specified actual type of bird, but I really don't think it's going to make much difference. Kentucky versus Troy, another Wildcat versus a Trojan. And just look at what a Trojan is historically. That is destroying any cat. UCLA and Utah State, a bear versus a bull. And this, to me, would be a very interesting matchup to actually witness. But I think the bear would pretty confidently win this battle. I think the bull would get some good hits in, but the bear just has more lethality to it than a bull. Tennessee versus Wofford. Tennessee are the Volunteers. I don't know why they have a dog as their mascot when they're Volunteers. And Wofford is a terrier, and I think this is a rare win for a dog. Specifically, the actual mascot itself looks vicious. The real-life terrier doesn't look terrifying, but neither does a Volunteer. And the Tennessee dog looks less intimidating than the Wofford dog. That does wrap up the round of 64. Here is the current bracket as things stand heading into the round of 32. We start with Auburn and Louisville, which pits a tiger versus a cardinal. Cat versus bird is I feel like a very long-told tale where the cat just wins. Auburn's moving forward to the Sweet 16. UC San Diego versus Yale, a Triton versus a Bulldog. Dude with Trident is just, it's not even close to fair. Ole Miss versus Lipscomb. It's a Shark versus a Bison, and we have to, again, go to higher seed who gets home field advantage in this one. And it's a 6 versus a 14, which, again, puts the Shark in the water with the Bison. And that just gives a definitive victory to the Shark. New Mexico versus Michigan State. We got a Lobo Wolf Thing versus Spartan. Shield, spear, helmet. Spartan takes the wolf. Norfolk State versus Yukon. The other Spartan and a Husky. Same explanation for the wolf. Husky, I think, is even easier of a win for a Spartan. Memphis, Grand Canyon University. Tiger versus antelope. This seems like a perfect prey for a tiger. Tiger wins it every time. Mississippi versus Texas Tech. A tiger versus a dual-wielding pistol guy. I'm very confident in the dual-wield pistols of Texas Tech. Arkansas and St. John's. The Razorback versus a Thunderbird. And I made sure to put the Razorback in a tiny little square in the bottom right just to show the glorious awesomeness of the Thunderbird that's winning this battle. Duke Blue Devils and Baylor Bears. As terrifying as this thing is, and I don't want to see it ever again, I unfortunately have to move Duke forward. Liberty, Akron, Eagle, Kangaroo. That kangaroo's just going to kick that thing out of the sky when it swoops down to try and do any damage. BYU, Montana, Cougars, and a bear. Got a lot of bears left, and look at the size of this thing. I don't think there's a way a cougar would be able to defeat a bear. It's just got too much size. St. Mary's, Alabama. You got a Gale and a Crimson Tide, which I still don't get how that's an elephant. But man, a guy with just a sword versus an elephant. I think the elephant's just going to win that one. I think it's going to be close, but the elephant moves on. SIU, Georgia. Cougar, Bulldog. That cougar is about to pounce on both those bulldogs. He takes the human mascot and the dog. McNeese and High Point. A cowboy and a panther. It's the same battle that McNeese had in the first round. Cowboy wins. Texas Longhorns versus the Troy Trojans. And even though a Longhorn, I think, is going to be a formidable opponent, the Trojans, so steeped in war culture, I think, beats the Longhorn. UCLA, Wofford, Bear, Terrier. I think the Terrier made it far enough. Lucky to get into the round of 32. The Bear wipes it out of the competition. Our Sweet 16 is set. Auburn, UC San Diego. Tiger versus Triton. A rare loss for a Tiger. Gets hunted by Triton. Ole Miss and Michigan State, 2 seed versus the 6 seed, which puts this battle on land between the Shark and the Spartan, giving a huge advantage to the Spartan. Moving forward, Michigan State. Norfolk State, Memphis. Another Spartan, another Tiger. And I think, again, the Spartan wins this. I really do. I think it's a tough battle, but I think a sword and a shield helps succeed against the Tiger. Rough round for Tigers, good round for Spartans. Texas Tech and St. John's, dual-wielding pistols versus a Thunderbird. And I think the mythical beast very easily negates all benefits of the dual-wielding pistols. Duke, Akron, Blue Devil, Kangaroo. Again, a pretty easy win for the Blue Devil. Montana, Alabama, a bear and an elephant. I think this is a tough matchup for both. It will be a brutal duel, but the bear just has more lethality to it than the elephant, moving Montana forward. SIU versus McNeese. We have a cowboy and a cougar. Again, I think the mounted man with a gun beats a cat. Troy, Trojans versus UCLA Bears. As much as I would like to eliminate a bear here and have a Trojan move forward, I don't think the shield is quite enough to beat a bear. We move into the Elite 8. We start with UC San Diego versus Michigan State, Triton versus Spartan. I think this is the first tough matchup for the Spartan, and he easily gets defeated by Triton. The other Spartan, can they hang on? Norfolk State versus St. John's. Spartan versus Thunderbird. And I really don't think there's a chance a Thunderbird is losing to a Spartan. Tough round for the Spartans in the Elite 8. Duke versus Montana, Blue Devil versus Bear. Especially after having a brutal fight to the death with the Alabama Elephant last round. I think this is an easy win for the Blue Devil. McNeese Cowboy versus UCLA Bears. Now, I think this will be the toughest fight for the Cowboy, but purely to give Duke a different matchup than a Bear again, we're going to have the Cowboy put through. That might be controversial. I don't know how confident I am in this. I think that's a tough battle. I think the horse probably dies in this fight as well, but the Cowboy manages to escape alive. We then move into the final 4. The first time 2 mythical creatures are facing off, we have UC San Diego's Triton and St. John's Thunderbird. And I really don't see a way Thunderbird loses this, especially if we give the home field advantage. It's got to be out of the water for Triton. I never really made that a point of contest before because there was no other battle close enough. But I do think if this had to be forced underwater, the Thunderbird would struggle. But above the water, on the surface of the water at the very least, it's a very easy victory for the Thunderbird. On the other side of the Final 4, we have the Duke Blue Devils versus the McNeese Cowboys, and I think this is the loss for the Cowboy. Only one mythical creature on this side of the bracket pretty clearly is going to beat a Cowboy, especially if the horse just died. Move into the final, St. John's Duke, a 2 seed and a 1 seed, which I don't think is a very unrealistic bracket for some people. Thunderbird versus Blue Devil. And I think that one, is a much easier fight than against Triton. Maybe I'm underestimating a Blue Devil here a little bit, but that I'm going to give the win to the Thunderbird and St. John's. Here's the completed bracket if you would like to look at that, but that is how I match up the mascots of March Madness. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and if you want to see this again for another sport or another tournament, let me know. Thank you everybody so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.